We're taking a little break here in Rock Springs, Wyoming. It's kind of a little town in Wyoming off the interstate, and a nice place to take a break. We decided to splurge a little and get ourselves a really sweet little site that has its own little yard. So Enzo gets to totally relax. Little fire pit, barbecue pit. G's enjoying himself.
Gee.
You're so funny. What do you think, Enzo? What do you think about the campsite? I think he wants us to throw the ball. Well, the big challenge this camping quilt roadie adventure has been eating, because moi went vegetarian about a week before we left for a variety of reasons. And so we have learned a lot on this trip, and I am happy to say I am still eating the vegetarian way. But one of the things we thought we would try, just because sometimes you want the convenience in camping of not having to figure out how to make a whole dinner out of tofu, is I bought one of these frozen DiGiorno pizzas. This is one of their new ones. It's preservative-free crusts and no artificial flavors. Thin crust, just enough for G and I. And we are going to try and cook it on a barbecue because it's too hot here to cook inside the trailer. So what I did was, it already had a lovely amount of, oh, shoot. Did you see that? I threw my vegetables. There was a bug. There was a bug that was attacking me. So the vegetables I have left after the bug attack, I'm going to spread around on the top, but it already had a lot of nice veggies on here. I heated the barbecue up to 400 degrees, as if it says on here heat the oven to 400, so I turned the barbecue on and heated it to 400. And now I'm going to set this on here, and I'm going to close it, and we'll get to see whether one can cook a pizza on a barbecue. We've been lucky because this campsite provided us with a big barbecue, so we'll keep you posted on how it turns out. So the moment of truth, did our pizza turn out good in the barbecue? Are you ready? Oh, look at that. That looks awesome. Oh my gosh. I think we're having a good dinner tonight. How is it, G?
Good.
So pizza on the barbecue is going to be a regular dinner item?
I think it works.
Yeah. And the best part of making a pizza on the barbecue is there's no smoke alarm. Okay, I'm going to take you inside our camper and just show you how it's functioning on the tail end of this trip. So, as we said before, this is a 20-foot creekside So at this end, we have kind of a settee dining table where I will be sewing. A pretty decent sized refrigerator. And a freezer. I love the kitchen area, and this little table folds up and gives us even more counter space. And then there's covers that cover this whole sink area, so this becomes a giant counter area. And there's a built-in spice rack, oven, microwave, and this is where I will be ironing and cutting my project. Our pantry area, pretty deep too, so I can fit quite a bit in there. And here's our bathroom, and I love this bathroom. Nice big shower. We have enjoyed that. It has a little tub, not big enough for G and I to get in there, but it is a nice size shower, so we've enjoyed that. The best thing has been our sleeping area. We're used to a king size bed, and this is queen size, so to increase the feeling of size, each side has a bedside table, and we put a pillow on it so that we can like rest our arm off of there, so it gives us the feeling of a king size. But the best part of this is that each of us has our own closet space. So there's hanging closet on each side of the bed, there's storage above the bed, and then on either side of the bed down here we each have a drawer that we can use. And then also, if you lift the end of the bed up, which I'm having a hard time one-handed, but you can see there's all kinds of storage underneath the bed, and that is where I store my sewing machine, my sewing supplies, all our extra groceries. And then there's a curtain to make this area private if you wanted to do that. Lots of windows. We have a huge picture window out the back. I'm not opening it right now because it's so bright out there. It would be glaring. And then there's a little TV, although we don't get cable. We have not hooked that up, so it's all antenna. And we usually watch, if we watch TV, it's PBS because that's the channel that comes through. So now I'm going to be sewing. I love the sound of a Singer featherweight. I'm always surprised though, you know, every trip we do, every quilt roadie adventure turns out totally different than the previous one. I know it's different places that we're going and that kind of thing, but I mean sewing wise, it is entirely different. So last Quilt Roadies trip, I did not touch the cross stitch I brought, nor, being a prolific reader, did I read it all, which is very unlike me. And this Quilt Roadie adventure, I have been cross-stitching like crazy for my grandson, and very much enjoying that. and doing very little machine piecing. But see, that's the thing. If you have the room, you better bring a variety, because you don't know how you're going to feel on any given trip. So I'm glad that I brought my machine, and I'm glad I brought projects to sew, even though I've hardly did a bit of machine sewing. I have been cross-stitching quite a bit, reading a little bit, and stitching along the way. It has been so much fun. I have been kind of worried about my hometown. Poor Sisters has really been devastated by the surrounding fires. And I am looking forward to being back home and seeing my grandson and my son and daughter-in-law and my stitching friends. And that's one of the things that I've found that I need to do when I am traveling, is I need to pick out every so often, kind of look ahead to shops or people who might be doing something fun that might interest me, and then I'll plan to be in that area at that time so that I can hang out with other women and give G a break from me. You know, you're talking about 24/7 in a 20-foot camper. So occasionally it's nice to do something different, and I had although I didn't get a bit of stitching done, I did have a fun time at a stitching class. It's just that we talked and talked and talked, but I was prepared anyway. And I was lucky enough in Laramie that there was a little small art quilt show in downtown, and that was really a fun thing to have stumbled upon. Someday I'm going to stumble upon Paducah. What do you think? I'm sure a lot of you have been to Paducah, and I've heard all kinds of stuff, but the thing about it is, it's one of those things that every quilter should see. Kind of like, I now realize why every American should try to see the Statue of Liberty or Mount Rushmore, like my mom kept telling me. You have to see it in your lifetime. Well, when I saw it, I thought, she was right. That was awesome. Very, very moving to see it. And I know people say, oh, it's not as big as I thought it would be. Wow, just how that artist, that sculptor, was able to even accomplish that is just amazing. So I'm not going to bore you anymore. I'm just going to keep sewing away, and then you can join me back up when I'm at the next step. So there we go. I got all my pieces ironed that I needed ironing, and then I'm going to flip this over to the cut side, and I'm going to be doing some cutting. I'm just going to keep sewing this away. I have really enjoyed all the quilt shops that I've stopped at, and I'm hoping that you will enjoy those videos, or have enjoyed the videos if you've already seen them. And there are some awesome shops, some great shop owners who are working hard to try to provide great fabrics in rural areas so that quilters can have a place to gather and shop for their favorite fabrics and to make quilts for other people. It's a wonderful, wonderful art form, quilting. And so I've enjoyed visiting with all those quilt shops. Of course, that has not kept me from shopping virtually. Now, yes, I promote the independent shop owners, but occasionally there is something that comes along that I have gotten on the internet for. And one thing was this quilt. I bought this quilt sampler actually in a quilt shop on the road, and I could not stop looking at this quilt. This 4-barn quilt. I loved the colors, and so I thought it would be a great quilt to hang outside my house. So I called up this shop and ordered the kit for this. Actually, I am supporting an independent quilt shop because every shop in here is an independent quilt shop. And all the quilts in this quilt sampler have kits. Sorry for telling you that, but this one, oh my gosh, the 4 barns, that is so, and with a little barn quilt in each one, you know, and those look piece, that's going to be quite the challenge, but I'm up for it. So I have been plugging away at my little 9 patches. They are so adorable. And I did not pin the entire time once I made that decision. And then I sewed them together into this sweet little quilt. The thing about the Red Button Quilt Company is when you buy a kit from them, they give you the little sweet buttons, and it's just, they are the tiniest little things. They're so cute. So here's my finished sweet little quilt. And what has to happen to this quilt now is, let me go get this pattern and I'll show you. Sorry to leave you behind here. But if you can see in here, there's little flowers and little buttons in all of these empty squares there. So they have given me this little pack of tiny little flower buttons that I have to sew onto this. So here's the deal. This is a tiny, you probably can't see the back, but there's such tiny little pieces that there's a lot of shredding going on, and I have to embroider 4 leaves and stems in each of these plain squares and attach 4 little red flower buttons. So this is my go-to thing. I am going to fuse on the back of this entire quilt a Pellon product called SF101. It's just like a really lightweight stabilizer, and then it's going to take care of all this shredding back here, and it'll give me some bulk to embroider on these little squares and to attach buttons. And I will be doing that on probably after I get home, but I now have this ready to go. And it was a very fun, satisfying pattern by Red Button Quilt Company. And again, this iron, I love this Panasonic iron. Unfortunately, I was not able to find it in any quilt shop, so I ordered it off of Amazon, and I love it. So that's my sewing for today. Tomorrow we head to a new campground, a new city, a new state. I hope you'll stay with us and keep traveling with us along the way. Thank you so much. Bye.